to another episode of Tea with Thomas. Um, we are so excited to be back again with everyone. Um, I'm joined alongside, of course, with Kayson, and
Yes.
we have two special guests here with us. Um, Fun fact, they are doctors in our Malankara church, but I'm going to let them introduce themselves instead of me spoiling the surprise. So, you guys, go ahead.
Hi. First. I didn't know who was going first. I can go first. My name is Jancy. I'm from the DC parish, and I am a pharmacist.
Hi, guys. My name is Neethu Zachariah. I'm 29 years old. I am a doctorate in physical therapy. I'm originally from Houston Parish, but now my new home is, for the past 3 years, has been the Elmont Parish, probably after I married my wonderful husband, Samson. Yeah.
Awesome. Yeah. I mean, thank you guys both again for, gracing us with your presence. And if everyone couldn't tell already, we're doing something a little special for this episode by wearing matching shirts. We want to show those off because, of course, we are coming back from, I guess, just a wonderful high from our youth conference. And we thought it would be really special for this specific episode if we gathered some people together and kind of reflected and talked about how wonderful youth conference was and some of our memories and our moments together. So I'm really excited for you both to be here, definitely providing your perspectives. And I mean, I would love to start. Maybe this time I'll choose one person first. Neethu, let me start off with you.
Okay.
You, like you said, you came from the Houston parish, so I knew you from when I was younger. And of course, you growing in your Malankara faith and seeing that has been a big inspiration for me personally. And then eventually to the point where you had left our church to go to Elmont, probably, of course, still within the Malankara Catholic Church. When you had left, of course, there was a deep sorrow, but I remember every single time I would get to see you, you come visit, and especially at conference, how much joy that really brought me. So I wanted to ask you first, what brought you, I guess, to conference in the first place? Why coming back to conference?
Honestly, this was a big decision for me. It was a difficult decision for me, just being almost 7 months pregnant and being so far away from my 16-month-old. I haven't been away from him for that long periods of time. So it was a bit risky, but by God's grace, I had this energy out of nowhere before traveling, during traveling, and participating throughout the conference. It was a smooth ride for me. And I really wanted to attend this conference with my husband, Samson, as husband and wife, especially since the last conference, we were just complete strangers. So, and it's coming as a chaperone, I just wanted a way to give back to the conference that gave me everything. And although I am on the older side, 29, I'm still learning a lot about the Malankara faith, right? So I still want to learn more. And that was one of the biggest reasons why I came to conference and just seeing my home away from home, basically.
Absolutely. I agree with you on that. Definitely being able to see you there. And like you said, the family, like home away from home, it's being able to connect with our Malankara members and not just, like you said, the social aspect, but it's also education, getting to learn. Jancy, I'd love to get your perspective as well. Why did you come to youth conference?
Yeah, sure. So in the beginning, I was kind of skeptical on coming because I've never been to a youth conference. Of course, it's my first one. And then this year, I'm on our church's MCYM board, and our president, Shalini, was like, they're looking for somebody on the web team, the national web team, to be a part of, like, to help out. And so I volunteered because we don't have a PR person in our church. And so I volunteered, and I'm on the team with Kayson and Teresa and like, a lot of representatives from different churches. And so working through like different promo material, I was like learning more about conference. I was like, wait, I should go. But then I also had a barrier because I just graduated and I needed to do my licensing exam. So not knowing when my exams were also another reason I was like, should I go? Should I not go? Because I don't know when I could take it. And then 2 days before the early registration day is when I get the code to take my exam, like to register for it. And I signed up for my exams on May 30th and May 31st morning. I'm like, okay, I have no reason not to go anymore. My exams are going to be done right before conference ends. So I was like, okay, let me give the money, do the form. And I was like, okay, I have nothing to lose but to go. So I'm very happy that I went in the end.
I mean, when I saw, okay, I was part of the MCYMNA board registration committee, so I get to see all your guys' names pop up on there. So I was like, when I saw Neethu Chechi, it's like, wow, awesome. I think it was a great moment for me to say, okay, there are a lot of the older MCYM youth actually coming to conference. That made me very, very happy. And of course, Jancy Chechi, we talked on the web team and all that. So, and I was always telling people, make sure you register, make sure you register. So a lot of that repetition, but I know she had the exam going, and I was like, we were all praying for her as well. And we're praying that she had the opportunity to come to conference, because exams are not easy. So and she really pushed through and made our experience as a general, the MCYMNA conference a great experience actually. So it was really, really nice to have her. And but yeah, I also just wanted to talk about another question that I had for you guys actually. What was your favorite moment from the conference this year, since you guys all attended? Tell me more about that.
Who do you want to go first?
Let's go with Jancy Chechi on this one.
Okay. So is it just one favorite moment, or is like throughout?
It's your stage, right?
It's your question. You got it.
All right. So I had a couple of favorite moments throughout the conference. One was definitely getting an opportunity to meet people. As being the only person from our church, I didn't know a lot of people going into conference, so it was a great opportunity to meet more people, because if I like go to another church, I definitely know more familiar faces now, so it was like a good thing in that sense. And then also in regards to like the events, I really found the adoration really touching and meaningful, and it was something that I thoroughly enjoyed as well. And the DJ Cube concert, like I cannot say, I'm like a huge fan of him. So to like see him in face to face, I was like, okay, this is really, really cool.
Agreed.
That's
I
awesome.
wanted to dance throughout the concert. I was like, I can't jump much, but I'm like just fist pumping.
Fist pumping.
All right. With all that excitement, I have to ask then, if you're a huge fan, did you get an autograph?
I didn't, but I got a picture. I did end up getting a picture. So yes, I did check that off of the list.
Perfect. That's awesome. Good stuff. How about you, Neethu Chechi?
I had a lot of moments, but my favorite, as a chaperone's perspective, my favorite moment was everyone playing the Cards for Humanity. First of all, shout out to the board members for such a creative game. I just seeing the kids just bond with each other, especially like the one part where everyone's like, what's your favorite caroling song? So all the attendees come up and just sing it. And it wasn't just the one person singing, just everyone is coming along and just singing it. And they're like, oh, I know this song, I know that song. Like, and just, it was just such a bonding moment for everyone. I think it just showed no matter where you are in North America, you sing, everything is the same. You sing along the same songs, bonding together, you just separately, but at the same time, sometimes you just got to come together just to witness how similar we are, no matter where we are from.
Absolutely. No, I remember like coming out of that experience, seeing especially the caroling one, thinking, I wonder if MCYM is going to host like a carol competition at some point.
I know, that would be really cool, actually.
Yeah, because it was really cool seeing different churches, right?
Yeah.
Having like just belting out songs, going, oh, I didn't know y'all could sing. Maybe y'all want to join choir next time. But it was really awesome to see. Yes.
Yeah. And then my next moment was, sorry, I'm just going to ramble on, because the adoration was absolutely beautiful. Absolutely beautiful. There was something so beautiful about it, because as we were praying, Samson was sitting next to me and he was holding my belly, and you could, as like they were singing, everyone, like the choir was singing, the piano playing, everything, my baby just kept going, like kicking me with the beat of the music, which is so wild to me. I've never had my baby kick that much, and I'm just getting so emotional. Samson's out there crying his eyes out, and we were just like, it was just such a beautiful moment. It wasn't just us feeling that, you could just feel the vibe, the presence of everybody. You're just feeling so emotional and just so deep into your spiritual aspect, just praying and just
and that's like a John the Baptist moment. The baby John the Baptist striking
like,
because in the presence of
he's
the
gonna be one strong Malankara boy. You know that for sure.
Oh yeah. In the presence of the Lord, I think that's an amazing thing to share. Actually, that's a great testimony. I appreciate that. Thank you. I also say, like you mentioned, caroling songs. Houston, Dallas, all those people, like I think Dallas got it started, the energy, and they brought it in. I'm like, whoa, these kids have this much energy. Where are they getting this from? And everyone did it so well. They carried it along. A lot of good songs, a lot of Malayalam songs I heard from them too. I'm like, wow, these kids know Malayalam too. I mean, amazing stuff. I mean, like, yeah, I enjoyed it. I enjoyed it.
Yeah, it's more like we know the tunes and what the words are. We don't know what they mean.
Me,
I just sing right? Like King of Kings, right?
King of Kings, right?
And
exactly.
Other than that, it's kind of a mumble, but we love the spirit, right? We let the spirit flow through us.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
And I think Neethu Chechi, next time, definitely, I'm gonna make sure that we sing slower songs, so it's a little bit easier in terms of the pace of the kicks. But absolutely, what a great moment. Thank you for sharing that. I love both of y'all. Hearing about the adoration part, hearing about music, hearing about connections, meeting people for the first time, meeting people again after so long, right? Understanding our connection to the Malankara Church. It's a beautiful thing to be, in this church and continue to love each other and to get to grow in faith together. It's such a blessing. So yeah, I mean, I just want to thank y'all again for coming. That was just a cool moment for me. So thank y'all just for your presences. I do want to move on as well to another question. We talked about the favorite moments, and that was really awesome. And I think the other part of thinking about conferences, as we get older and we see more and more events, we kind of think back to some of the other events that we've gone through as well. Neethu Chechi, like you shared earlier, you have been to a youth conference before. And the other aspect of it's like, I think for the rest of us, this is our first conference. Am I correct on that? Right? So
yeah, for me, yes.
Yeah. And so that for me was very much like a very nerve-wracking thing. And so was getting really scared and kind of worried on that. So I'm gonna ask you, Neethu Chechi, I guess, what was your conference experience and how your conference experience specifically, how did that compare to maybe some previous experiences with conference or maybe other events from church?
Gotcha. So I've only been to one other conference. It was the 2013 Iona College conference in New Rochelle, I believe. It was definitely different. Again, different as in it was two different generations, honestly. Again, like you mentioned, there was a lot more newer youth that came into the 2024 conference that was their first time. So I think each of the board members for each of the conferences, I think they did a really good job trying to see what was the need for that generation, right? So I think for my generation, it was pretty much very good. We needed the retreat, the talks, like it was, I guess, what's the word that I'm looking for? It was as equal as the bonding activities, icebreakers, and things like that. Whereas for this conference, I do believe the board members really focused on the need for the social interaction, the bonding, and the connections between the kids. Especially because we haven't had a youth conference for the past 8 years. That's a very long time. And I think they did a really great job with all the bonding activities, from scavenger hunts, cards for humanities, the concerts, the glow in the dark parties. All of those made it much more important for us at the moment. And you could see like the kids just, in the beginning, everyone's just sitting together within their parishes. And as you see each day, they're just like mingling and sitting together during mass, like different parishes and just eating together. It's such a beautiful, beautiful thing to see as a chaperone. And even there are talks, everything was great. I think they, I'm still trying to figure out that word. They rationed it very well. I think the ratio between the talks and the bonding activities were very well done. Again, for me, it was definitely different being an attendee from one conference to being a chaperone. Yet similar at the same time. Again, like I mentioned before, my goal is to learn more about the Malankara faith, and that I still got from both conferences, regardless of what my title was. But it was different in a way, but now I have responsibility for the Elmont youth and make sure they're taken care of, making sure they're good. But this conference is where I made my lifelong friendships, and one of those friendships ended up being my husband. So it was very beautiful to witness my younger youth going through that, making friends and just having those bonding moments. I'm just sitting there and watching them. Now I'm not the participant, so there's not a lot of, I guess, nervousness from trying to meet everyone. Now I'm just like, okay, I'm just watching them and pushing the kids. It's like, go, make friends, have fun. So that was a difference for me personally. But again, not every youth in each parish, they connect well with their own parish youth members, regardless of like not having being the same age or just not any similar interest in life. So going to conferences, you might find someone that's have similar interests, same age and whatnot. And you can always connect with them through social media and just keep up with them and just keep that lifelong friendship and keep that connection, because I think that's one of the ways we can keep these youth in our community, keep them in our Malankara church. So,
yeah. Absolutely. Yeah. I do want to sidetrack a little bit though, because you did mention that you met Samson at the previous youth conference. So I do want to ask, like, I guess, how was that first interaction, like meeting someone? And I guess, of course, at that moment, not exactly knowing that he's going to be your future husband, but how did that kind of grow from that moment and then onwards a little bit?
When I met him first, it was during registration. I didn't think much of it. Just another guy, nothing big deal. But he was, I think he was a board member at that conference of 2013. And I think they were introducing themselves, and everyone's kind of talking. All the crowd was talking here and there, but he just kept talking. And he just talked about how like passionate he was about the Malankara church, and all I could just listen. I'm just like, wow, this man is so cool. I could learn so much from him. But obviously we were just friends. We were all just looking for friends at that time, and we were friends for like 7 years. We kept up with each other, made sure we were kind of staying on the good path in a way. But we were very good friends. We were very open with each other, no matter what, no judgments, whatsoever. But we had tough times, and we were able to share that, with each other. And as we got older, we were a little bit more mature, and I guess, we started realizing that we may be really good partners. And then it just kept going. And then the friendships, the talks, little small talks become big talks, long talks, like hour-long talks, more than an hour-long talks. And it just went from there.
Perfect description. Yeah. I mean, of course, it's like when you're coming in conference and you're meeting so many people, right? It's
overwhelming.
It's super overwhelming, right? And a big part of it, I remember like coming into conference, one of my goals was like, I'm going to try and meet, because they said, 200 people is the limit of like how many people are going to attend. I'm like, okay, I'm going to meet all 200 people. Did not happen. I really tried, but did not happen. But
it's tough.
It absolutely is. It really is. But I mean, still a blessing to get to see everyone's faces, right? And that presence was just overwhelming and wonderful. Jancy, I really want to hear your answer to this question as well. So comparing your experience from youth conference now to some of the past experiences, how was that like from like past experiences within your church?
Sure. So for me, like when we have events at our church, like, everybody knows each other, everybody's comfortable with each other, and, there's a sense of security, and, like you're going to see your friend there. But when you go to conference, you're like, I only know a few people, and you're forced to make more friends. So it's like, breaking that, of course, when I came, I was nervous because I didn't know anybody. And so, putting myself out there and being like, hey, my name is Jancy, I'm from the DC church. And like, learning more about people, it was a really cool experience, because before this, my only other experience was through convention. I've been going to a couple of conventions, but like it would be just at those like nightly events or whatever we have throughout the day. There was no like a lot of time to like learn more about people and talk to people. So like that was, I think, like the better part of conference, and the one part of conference I really, really enjoyed.
Absolutely, yeah. I do want to ask though, like you talk about like you talked about going to convention, right? Like the family conventions, especially like going with family and that kind of dynamic. I guess, is there something in a family convention that you liked specifically that you would think might be something good that we might add in youth conferences, right? That you could kind of incorporate in?
Thinking about it, I think the difference more. Good question.
No, I wanted to ask that because for me, right, like I feel like family conferences bring in an interesting dynamic where it's not just people, right, but then you also see like uncles and aunties, right?
Yeah.
It's the time for me like really get to meet family. And for me, it's interesting because I always go to like this time when I went to youth conference, I came back and I was like showing my parents my photos, and they were like, "Oh, what? This is your cousin?" And I'm like, "That's great. Thank you so much for letting me know about this right now." Right? So that always gets me really awkward about it.
Yeah, I think like in that sense, when you say like, yeah, like for us, at least for me, like we have some parish members that have moved and gone to other churches. So it's like good to see like them like since more people are allowed to come to family convention, you get to see more like old parish members that have moved away, or like for us like Uchins who have moved on to different parishes. So it's like good chance to like see them and like catch up with them as well. But like I feel like when you're at the youth conference, you're just kids. You don't have to worry about like your parents like watching over you or like asking you like where you're going. So it's like a little bit more freedom, a little bit more relaxed compared to like the convention.
Absolutely. I also wanted to ask you, like you said, like you were the only member from your church to come, right? And of course, that seems very intimidating at the beginning, but definitely getting to meet you and seeing how you interacted with everyone, honestly, was such a blessing to see, right? Kind of like inspiring me, because I know if I was in your shoes, I would be completely lost. So I wanted to ask you about that unique experience, right? About being singular there, but at the same time, when you came back to your church, what were some of the experiences that you were able to share, and what was some of the reactions that you were getting from your own church back from your experience at youth conference?
I think it was more of like, oh, I wish I had come. Like I got a lot of that, especially like since like they would like see stuff through like social media. They'd be like, oh, I wish I had come, or like I wish I had not known about it, but like they were kind of hesitant to come in the beginning because like there's other stuff that was going on. But I think like looking back, I think they were like, oh, I wish I had come. So like when I would talk to them about like what happened and like show them pictures from like other events, they were like, that was like the main thing. That was like the takeaway. And yeah, that was the main thing that they kept on saying.
I will say,
I have to.
Go ahead.
Sorry,
No, you're good.
Jancy, I have to say, you were amazing. Your president, Shalini, is my sister-in-law, so she was like, make sure you take care of her. She's all alone. So I'm like, okay, I got her. Don't worry. But every time I try to find you, you're such a social butterfly. You were sitting with one group of parish, and then you'll go to the other group of parish. So I'm like, I don't need to bother her anymore. She's good. Right. You did an amazing job. Just wanted to put it out there.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah. And she was our designated photographer for a lot of the events.
Not just me, other people.
Of course, but when I saw you, I saw you.
Yeah, I thought it was you, Jancy, because the way that you were like Neethu said, right, like going between different groups, right, and it kind of helping facilitate those connections between people by going like, oh, that's Jancy, yeah, like, and then being able to like share those connections, because honestly, the work that you were doing was reflected in the photos that we got to saw afterwards.
Yeah,
you know, that was a beautiful thing to see, to just flip through and like, of course, it's reminiscent, but at the same time, going, wow, like I got to connect. Like I feel like if I hope the members or the people who went to youth conference had a chance to go look at those photos, because I think once you see yourselves in those photos, you'll realize, wow, I made so many connections that are going to be a lifelong thing because I'm part of this Malankara community, this MCYM community.
Yeah, and it led to like a lot of conversations as well, because people would like bump into me and be like, like, how's it going, or like like what are the pictures? Like some of them would ask like, can I see a couple of the pictures? So it's like a conversation starter as well.
I think you ended up meeting all the 200 people.
I know.
Yes.
I think so. I'm like unintentionally,
Unintentionally. She took some amazing photos. I was going through it. I'm like, yeah, that's a lot of good photos in one, gallery. I mean, like, it's a lot to eventually, when we look back on it, thank you for, doing all of that, because, when we look back on it, we'll reminisce on memories, nostalgia will hit, 10 years from now, we'll see like, wow, look at that. So yeah, documentation is a big, a pretty important thing. And thank you for doing that. I really appreciate that.
It was fun. It definitely showed like different perspectives of conference, but also like since I was taking pictures, each area that I took picture was a different perspective and different hearing of like what was going on. So I think it was a pretty cool experience.
Yeah, and when you showed pictures to your youth back in Washington, D.C., right? You're like, oh, I wish I could come to that. I wish I had come, right?
Yeah.
So I mean, that's itself is a good thing, because now you made the promotion for the next conference. Actually. So you did great. So thank you for sharing that, because we need to show photos. We need to show that community that we formed during those 4 days there, right? So yeah. Picture says 1,000 words, so it definitely shows that.
And I do want to say, like, I think especially for like listeners as well, especially being inspired by seeing like photos and things like that of those connections, it's not just limited to the fact that like, oh, I'm only going to see this person the next time we're at a conference. We have like a wonderful thing called airplanes and stuff, and vehicles where we can drive and fly to each other. And I know like one of the things that I came out, especially talking with Jerick, our producer, I was like, dude, I love getting to talk to Philly. Philly, especially the youth, right? They had so many youth, and I mean, a big part of it was basketball and volleyball as well.
Yeah,
it was getting very competitive. But coming out of it, I remember I really wanted to go and see their church and get to talk to their
Mhm.
youth and stuff because they were really vibrant and they were super energetic. And if y'all couldn't tell already, I'm a very energetic person. So I love that. I love receiving that from them. And I was like, a blessing would be if I had the chance. So that's now on my bucket list of flying in. And then also
Mm.
to DC as well, because I've been to a family conference in DC before. I can't even remember the year, but that was like my first like church event, like convention conference
Oh,
or anything. I went to a family convention there, and I don't think I went to the DC church at that time. But that was also when I was younger. So seeing you there, I was like, oh wow, we have youth, like active youth there. And so
yeah.
Jancy, that was like a big reason for me to be like, okay, I gotta add this to my bucket list. So
Yeah, you
absolutely,
definitely should come.
yeah. So listeners, if you're in a major city where there's a Mullinger church, come visit your local MCYM, right? Everyone wants to
Always.
say hi.
Yeah. There's a map of all the location on the MCYMNA website where you can go and just and find the location of the church wherever you are. There's a church for you there.
Mm.
Yeah, I think that's a good point. Um, Also, I just wanted to, you know, share my perspective a little bit. You know, being on the board as well, it was a little tough for me to interact with so many people. You know,
Mm.
with a lot of logistics, running things behind the scenes, like a lot of planning or what's happening. I could see the stress on a lot of the board members, and of course, you know, when Jerick gave us a good pep talk before all of this, he says he told us to be a servant leader. Like, servant leadership is something that he talked about. So I think that spirit that he gave us with that talk, that, you know, motivational speech, is God will watch over us. God will provide for you as needed. As long as
Mhm.
you're doing as well, things will unfold in a proper way. And that allowed us to really carry out the conference in that spirit. If we feel like things are out of control, God will provide the solution for that. So let it be. And guess what? And from a lot of people, I felt like the conference was a successful event for them, because people were, especially talking to my brother and my San Jose team. I really loved it. And I'll tell you this: they were coming back from conference. They're like, they got on a call. Yeah, conference has ended. They're just like sitting around and lamenting about conference has ended. It's over a call. I'm like, oh, that's so sweet. I mean, my brother was like very, very like motivated by how the conference went. And even to share a little bit of his story, he said the conference really redefined what love really is for him. And I was like, brother, that is so sweet. So sweet. This Kevin, 17-year-old, you know, he's younger than me. I'm like, he's my little baby, right? And he's like he's saying him saying that, I think that really changed me. And I told especially Matt Sheraton and Linda Tate, who spoke during the talks, he really found that compelling. I texted them right away. I'm like, my brother said this. I'm a witness to this, and thank you for doing that for my brother. I was so moved by that, and I said a prayer right there. I'm like, thank you for doing that, Lord. I think giving the Lord his time to unfold, you know, his plan for the conference was a big advantage for us. And thank God things went the right way for that. But from hearing from people's experiences, I'm happy. Even though I was not able to necessarily enjoy the way an attendee did, I was happy. I'm more than happy for the way things went. And thank you for making it a great conference. Both of you who are here. I mean, three of you are here. So
All
yeah,
four of us. I think
all
just
four.
every single person that attended, right? This is one of the lessons that I start learning as I get older is the impact that we make on each other, right?
Mm.
Sometimes it's like very ourselves, it's unnoticeable, right? We don't even understand what kind of impact that we have on each other's lives. But just the fact that like we get to see each other in, you know, time after time, depending, right? You don't know what that one interaction meant for that person until you
Mhm.
kind of meet back up with them later and you go, hey, like, and then you're able to kind of like the aspect of like sharing your flowers, or you actually tell them like, hey, like this interaction to me like really affected me for the next couple of years of my life, and I wanted to share that with you. That was awesome. So
Oh.
continue sharing the love, everyone. Like it's an amazing thing to do. So yeah.
Right. Exactly. So I had another great question for you guys. I think I wanted to reflect on this too a lot while I was coming out of conferences. How did the conference help you grow as a Malankara Catholic? Maybe Jan or Chichi, you could go first on this one.
Sure. So I think the one main thing is like how to be like more involved, because like seeing like the other larger parishes, like how everybody was like involved in their own ways, but like together they came as a community. Like, what more can I do for my church, and what more ways can I be involved to help like further sustain the Malankara community? I think that was like the one main takeaway that I took. like even though we're a small parish, we have our own ways that we work, but there are more that we can do even as a youth to come together as a closer community.
No, you make a fair point. Yes, and maybe your growth. You could talk about a little bit of your personal growth that you had with as a Malankara Catholic, especially after conference, right? I'll say it personally, like it has definitely increased my love and ambition for the church. Like maybe like Samson Church, and I think when Neethu JG met Samson Church, it was like that spirit. Like I love the Catholic Church, I love the Malankara Catholic Church. I love being Malankara, right? That sort of mentality is something probably a lot of people had to change with. So yeah.
Like did you ask you? I was confused.
Yes, exactly.
Okay, sorry. So yeah, I think like in that sense, think more of having like getting more of like our church, like being the one person to like get more people to come to church and more people to like come more consistently to church. I think that was like the one thing that I like noticed and like I think wanted to make a difference. And so like like that was one thing I really wanted to do, to see like talk to like the people who are always kind of like figuring out like more things we can do within our church and like engage more of the youth. I think that was like the one main takeaway I got, and like seeing like what we did in conference and how I can bring that back to my own church to see like how we can change and redefine like our youth events that we have for our church.
Perfect. Neethu JG, what's your take?
So did the conference help me grow as a Malankara Catholic? Absolutely. Again, like I mentioned, I'm still learning about the Malankara Catholic faith, right? And not being biased here, but I really did enjoy Jenny JT's and Samson. You guys keep calling yourself a and it just came out of nowhere. Okay, Samson's talk. Even though it was just like a short amount of time, I think all of us got a lot out of it. Especially I got Jenny Chichi's talk. I really resonated with me just because she also moved from her church or new family and completely different, not as much as she went through, but it really did resonate with me. And for Samson's part, he focused more on the liturgy aspect. You just truly don't realize how much our liturgy teaches us, like from what true love is to how you can be a good Catholic man and woman,
Right.
So you can see the true love through the relationship between the church and God. And I didn't realize how much it is shown through the sacraments, through the songs, through baptism, through marriages. And when everyone started singing the Sabayan Tiri Sabayan, I just got so emotional. I felt the love, and you can feel the love. Like everyone was singing. I didn't expect everyone to sing along. So that means that no one was like really sleeping. Everyone was actually listening to it. So that made me feel happy. So you could feel the love not within the room or auditorium itself, but within that liturgy as we were singing along. So I hope, just like me, the youth, the attendees were motivated to learn more and seek more knowledge about our Malankara liturgy. We have so much resources here. We have our Achin, we have our Chachins, our Chechis, Samson. All of these people are ready to give all that information. So yes, I definitely learned a lot.
Yeah, no, Samson Chachin's breakdown of Sabaya Tiri Sabaya was amazing. I did not expect it. Like when the talk was talking about that, like, then I see Sabaya Tiri Sabaya. Of course, I hear it in the wedding hymns, like the compilations and all that, right?
Yeah.
And when you go to weddings and stuff, you hear it. I did not expect him to do a thorough breakdown. It's like a priest talking to me about it. And he was like, he knew his stuff. And I was very happy that, he was able to take us through the love story, the search for the bride, right? That's something is so important. And, he even showed us that 8 tunes.
I didn't know about that.
I didn't know about that either.
It's in our Sunday school, actually, but
okay.
It's in our Sunday school.
Probably not.
Might have stuck through that class.
But I was happy that he actually compiled it and gave a rundown of what each of the tunes are. And we do sing it like maybe people don't see it as often or recognize it as often. But when it's sung now, I think people who are attending the conference now know different tunes and like, oh, this is a variation from that one. It's a variation from that one. So you'll recognize it. So I was very happy that that
it was just
talk
like
was there.
Definitely. It was just like a small section of our liturgy. Like it's not even like
The
the
whole thing.
amount of information we could get. It's just
Yes.
so crazy to me how much we just have more to learn. We just keep learning and learning, and it's never done. So
Right.
it's yeah. I
I
agree.
think also shout out to Father Jerry Matthew, Jerick. I think he was the one who was translating a lot of this to the English, making sure
Yeah.
the English is correct. And yeah, he did so well. And by the grace of God, and that was able to be used at the conference. I was so happy to see that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The conference was just amazing in terms of like you said, Chechi, the wealth of knowledge that we have at our church, the different
Yes.
resources, right? Like you talking about Chachin, Chechi's, Samson, but I think back to, I think it was that convention that I went to in DC. I think it was Binu Chachin,
Oh yes.
who I remember when I was younger and I was sitting in and I would hear him because he would be the one presenting on a lot of these, like, oh, this is our like liturgy and him. And it was cool because when Samson Chachin did it, one of the first things I thought of was, wow, is Chachin like kind of
Samson.
carrying that legacy around like throughout like a church to make sure that like our younger generation like remembers these things as well? Because it's still important, right? Like we may as people change, right? Like we are here, we grow up, we age out of MCYM, and we have new kids that come in, but regardless, the church remains the same, right? The church
Yeah.
and its liturgy, there's nothing changing about that because we love our tradition, we love the community that we have together, and we're going to continue to pour into ourselves. And so that was just such like a blessing to kind of just see that. And it wasn't just limited to Chachin, right? It was also getting to
Yeah.
see especially Matt and Linda's
Of
masculinity and
course.
femininity conversation, especially that like you said about Kevin, right? Kevin's like interpretation of love. I had one of my kids in the Houston church, and he was telling me like that after they had done their joint conversation and the girls were leaving so that we could just have like the guy session alone, he turned around and he was like, I've never thought of love that way. Like as a guy, I've never thought of love that way. I was like, that is such an important conversation to have that we've never had before. And then we, had that one conversation. We had like the panel as well, the chai chat, where people were to come in and we had more of the topics, like current day topics, right? And being able to kind of hear the questions that were being asked and be answered. That was also wonderful to see how engaged our youth were. And then I also think about the aspect of when we had that conversation with not just a panel and not just with Samson Chachin or Jenny Chichi and Samson, but then being able to have the conversations with each other afterwards, right? Taking all that information in, and especially getting up and staying up late nights, talking to each other about it. That was really cool because we're having fun playing games, but we're also trying to hash it all out together. And I think one of the last things that like really left an impression on me was I was staying up with Jerick, our producer, because we were roommates during that time, and he was sharing how he was getting like really emotional about this whole conference coming to a close because of the fact that us being at conference really helped him understand how much of a community we had, and how much resources that we had within our own community, and just how important this podcast was. Because we were talking about the project, because the next day we were going to announce the podcast to everyone, which we did on that last day. And that was just a beautiful reflection to kind of just think about. So I want to shout Jerick out real quickly on that moment as well.
Yeah, we were staying up a
beautiful.
little too late on that day, trying to fix everything that needs to be done for the next day, or that same day. So yeah, it's a great experience for sure. Yeah. Aaron, do you have anything?
Yeah, I thank y'all for kind of continuing on this conversation. It was really beautiful to hear about the growth of your faith, right? Not just the social aspect. I know the parents were really happy with that little segment right now, hearing about the growth of our faith. But I think the other aspect to kind of think about is, sure, we've grown in the faith aspect of our knowledge, of understanding love, of understanding the specific parts of our liturgy. But maybe we should get into, or go back into, not just socially, but as a community. How did your sense of your community as a Malangarite changed, right? We love the community aspect in terms of, we are back in our church and we have our local community there. If your church does regionals, there's also the regional community. But maybe as a Malangarite, not just within the US, but as like a whole, worldwide unit, what has your sense of community changed? And maybe let's start off with the aspect in terms of your personal experiences, right? Maybe you could, if y'all had some personal experiences with people, if y'all could share some personal experiences that kind of helped y'all in kind of understanding this community. Neither Chichi, if you want to start off with that.
Yeah, sure. So for me personally, from my own personal experience, I've made several friendships and bonds during like conventions and conferences, and I was able to be fortunate enough to keep up with those relationships throughout the years. So when it was time for me to get married and move from a southern state all the way to northeast was a very tough time overall. Just new place, new family, new people. But when it came to church and the community, it was such a smooth transition for me just because I made such strong bond friendships and relationships already at hand. So it, again, like I mentioned before, it felt like home away from home. So the one thing I could honestly rely on was my church, the Malankara church. When I felt a little sad or lonely and missing my family, I just went to my family at church. So that was one of my biggest personal experience for me for the community aspect. But
That's awesome. Yeah. Thank you for sharing
yeah.
that. Jancy, JJ, did you have something you wanted to share?
Yeah, well now, like since we're in conference and I met more people, it not only helped me, but like my brother, he's moved to the West Coast now. He's in San Francisco. And so the fact that I've known Kayson, I mean, I was able to connect him with Kayson. I mean, he's a social butterfly on his own, but like being able to like know somebody there that I know, and I can be like, hey, this is one person that you can talk to, and like, no, if you need any help, like, yes, I know you know people, but this is somebody in our church that you can talk to, or you know, if you need to find a way to get to church, like he can help you, like because he doesn't have a car, so like there's somebody there that can possibly give you a ride even from the train station or something. So I think like even if it was for me, it was someone else in my family that I can use that community to help.
No, his stuff
Absolutely.
is already sorted out. Yeah.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah, he's already sorted out. He's
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 for the
getting,
most part, but
yeah.
still, like he still has you. Like I can trust
Yeah.
him with you at the end of the day.
Yes.
Yeah.
No, perfect. Our church, yeah, we're more than happy to have him because St. Jude, of course, I'm going to represent St. Jude again. So yeah, he's more than happy to, will be more than willing to have him in our church, of course.
Yeah,
Yes.
it's crazy to see like how our churches grow, not just in terms of like people coming in from India, but also within each other, right? Like Neethu
Mhm.
Chichi said, like coming from Houston, going to Elmont, and then of course Jancy, your brother, coming in and going to California now. It's just the growth of our communities in different ways, and allowing that to kind of build and foster community as well.
I,
Yeah, I go ahead.
oh, I was just adding on. Just I think our like sense of community was really put into test after the youth conference, right? So when like I think you were about to start mentioning that. Is that why? Or
Maybe. I mean,
Maybe
for
you
you to
could
kind of
honestly,
introduce it as well. Yeah.
yeah, honestly, that's a fair point. Yeah, go ahead.
so just to give the background information, a lot of our youth flights got canceled after conference, right? So fortunately, Samson and I we were blessed enough, our flights were okay. But during that time, we were at Matt and Linda's house just post conference, and we were just flooded with so many messages. Oh, this parish's flights got canceled. Their flight got canceled. New Jersey flight. Everybody's flights are getting canceled left and right. And this is where we see our small but mighty community coming together. You know, every youth that whose flights got canceled got to like witness and experience the love and the care, the protection they got from this our community. In such a short period of my time too, you know. So they were well taken care of in spite of not knowing when they'll be going back home. So and usually, like we mentioned before, we talk about how like we have the post-conference blues. We just wish we had spent more time with the new friends that we made. And these kids, like the youth, they actually got to experience that too. Like they got to stay in and just kind of bond a little bit more before they leave back home. And all the talks we had we had all these talks about Malankara mentality during at the conference, but these youth was actually able to experience the Malankara mentality. What is supposed to be a bad luck turned out to be such a true testament to what Malankara mentality is. So it was just such a best way to kind of like end the theme for the conference.
Yeah. Yeah, I have an experience or a witness to this as well, actually. Jerick, our producer, he's the president of Philly, so he had a lot of tension and stress behind him, especially when he heard like got canceled. And I was actually going and taking an Uber with him to the airport. So we were on our way, then we found out that his flight got canceled. they're like, okay, what do we do? What is the solution for this? And they chose to go to the airport and fly into Houston. So they had a route from Austin to Houston to Philly. So a big, roadblock in their way, actually. So thankfully they were able to figure it out. But I just want to highlight something here is that once they got to Houston, they're all lost. They don't have any connection necessarily with Houston other than the church and the people that we bonded with. And I think I gotta mention this person, Emil from Houston, contacted Jerick right away. He said, "Hey, Jerick, I know that your flight got canceled. Let's do something about it." And a few minutes later, Kenny gets on. They're like planning stuff out. Then Jerick and the Chessie Chechi, Nisha Chechi, your sister, they all start planning things out. And thankfully, they were all able to come together and actually figure out a solution for them. And it's just, I know it's Southern hospitality there in the South, but I don't think it's just Southern hospitality. It's Malankara mentality there. It's just the Malankara family that really bonded them. And I was so shocked by that because I saw Jerick, I was with him until the airport, and when he was leaving, he was so stressed. And I could really see it in his face, and I felt really bad for him. But once I called him again, "Hey, Jerick, how are you doing? Like, how's everything going?" He's like, "Da, Kayson, like Houston came in clutch. Like they came in clutch all the way." I could hear his relief when he was saying it, and I could hear it over the phone. I was so happy that he was able to find something. And guess what? They had an extra day in Texas because of that, and kind of wind down a little bit before they went back to Philly, right? And they got 3 houses, they got rides covered. All of that was taken care of. It's just like a VIP escort of sorts for them. They didn't have to worry about anything. That's why I said God will provide, and He will provide with the people, with His body, with the people in His body, right? So, and it was so powerful when I heard the story because that the bonds that they formed really came in clutch, right?
Yeah.
And this goes to show as an example for a lot of the youth across the eparchy and across MCYM, across the Malankara Catholic Church, is that there's open invitation to each of our churches. There's a family ready to receive you in no matter the place you are, right? If you come to San Jose, Chicago, Florida, Texas, whatever it is, we are there to receive you. And conferences like these are a great way to meet people and start that friendship early on. And as Neethu Chechi and probably Jancy Chechi now could attest to, and Aaron as well, that there's a lot of bonds now that are so strong that when next conference comes along or next roadblock comes along, there's people ready to help you out. And even if they're visiting, there's a group of people ready to receive you. So I love that about the church, and I found Jerick's testimony to be so powerful. And hearing this, like that, blessings in disguise or something like that, that really came through. And so I was really happy to hear that.
Yeah, many of my youth, I was like, "Oh, I'm so sorry your flight got canceled." They're like, "That's fun."
It kind of made me think of like maybe we should have planned this from the start. Just have like have everyone's flights like delayed a little bit, because I like both of y'all have said, right? Like there was so much joy like coming out of that experience that should have brought a lot of like terror to a degree. But at the end of it, like, I mean, your parents might have been terrified, all of the kids, but I mean, for the kids especially, like it was very much like an amazing experience, because I had felt that, because so when we were in Austin, we were staying back a little bit to kind of help and make sure that everyone was okay. And then when we found out that the flights were canceled, one of the first things that Houston decided to do was, okay, the people who are here, we're going to stay back a little bit more and see what kind of rides we need to facilitate. If people need to go to Houston or people need rides around, instead of like taking Ubers and things like we could try and help by giving rides around Austin for people who need to stay in Austin for an extra day. And so my job, along with Merrill from Dallas, was both of us were going to be giving rides in Austin for the people from Rockland. So from Rockland, probably we had 5 youth come in. And so one of the first things we were like, okay, which houses we needed to go to, and nicely enough, there was a coordination for a house for us to drop them off at, but it was 30 minutes away. And so one of the first things we decided to do was, let's go get dinner. And so we went and we got In-N-Out, because In-N-Out's not in New York, I guess. And so that was really nice, getting to share like one last dinner together before we had to go drop them off. And then there was a little fiasco with like, oh, one of the houses weren't available, so we had to drive a little bit more to go to another house. But it was fun, because at the end of it, like, it was another short story to share, right? Another fun experience from conference. And so I loved how all of it kind of just came and tied together. Like you said, Chichi, the Malankara mentality, how did
Yeah.
that continue to reveal itself? Like the
Yeah.
longer we were there. So what a
Yeah.
blessing.
Absolutely.
And I just wanted to ask you another question. Actually, it was kind of like the last finale of a question for us is, what does Malankara mentality mean to you? For example, this conference topic was Malankara mentality, right? Kind of, analogous to Kobe's Mamba mentality, right? The discipline, the hard work that you put in, the family, the community, the teamwork, right? All of it comes together. So that's why we kind of borrowed the term mentality in the Malankara mentality thing. But it's a unique, slogan for the Malankara Church. So I just wanted to ask you, with the theme of the conference being Malankara mentality, what does Malankara mentality mean to you? Maybe Jancy, you could start with us.
Sure. So Malankara mentality for me, it initially changed because like my perspective of like our understanding of the church changed after conference and learning more about it. So to me, Malankara mentality means like how can we all be there for one another? Because like at the end of the day, it's hard to do things on your own, and having that sense of not just community, but like that trust and safety within your community, that's a huge thing. So my Malankara mentality, it has to do around with having that tight knit bond with your community and that trust and safety within your community.
Neethu.
So personally, to me, Malankara mentality is just the richness of our liturgy, the love and the beauty that we have within our small but mighty community. But I didn't appreciate that until after being a Christian in the Middle East, right? So being in the Middle East, I was never, we didn't have the freedom of religion. So we had to be like a bare bone Christian at that time. So coming to America, it truly made me appreciate what it really means to be a Malankara Catholic, to receive the Eucharist with beautiful and richness of our liturgy songs, with a community that supports and uplifts and believes in the same things as I do. So it's such a privilege to even like pray out loud. So that is my Malankara mentality to me.
I love that from both of y'all. I mean, wow, I'm about to cry right now because it's like each of y'all have brought in such unique perspectives that help me as well kind of like reflect on conference, and especially Malankara mentality. I feel like for me, when I came in, going into conference, I was thinking Malankara mentality is one thing of like almost in a weakness, like the pride aspect to it, right? Like there's a goodness and you should be hopeful and you should feel that your church is welcoming and there's a lot of strength in that. But there was also like a hint of pride. And I think that might have also came in from the fact that we were really focused on sports as well, trying to win a sports trophy. But like coming out of it, I have to agree with the aspect of like, coming together and like, being there for each other. But then, like you said, Neethu, about the like the liturgy and just the really reflecting on that aspect of it, we have something so unique in our church that a lot of people, especially over time, it might seem harder to really understand what it means. But I also feel like with time, it might also get easier to understand, especially with the different experiences you get. I know each of us, especially have spent time in college, going to masses, that weren't always Malankara, right? They might have been Latin, they might have been different rites. And those experiences, of course, they're beautiful in their own way, but there's always that feeling, I know, because I also felt it as well in our hearts, that we wanted to go back to our Malankara church, right? We wanted to kind of experience, the beauty and the grace that it brings in. Because now, like thinking into my own life, I reflect on the fact that like my Malankara mentality is the fact that I have so much love for my community, and I want to continue to share that as I go on in life, and that's something I don't want to kind of lose out on. And so it's being able to continue to add on to that love to not just my own community within the Houston parish, but as a greater community within the US and worldwide as well, as part of a national MCYM.
Right. Also, when we were planning actually the theme of the conference early on in the year, we were struck by a particular Bible verse that we actually use, and it's written on our t-shirts right here. It says, "Do not conform to the patterns of this world, but be transformed by the renewal of your mind."
It's on the back.
It's on the back. Okay,
it's
okay.
It's in the front, the bottom.
It's right here.
You haven't looked at the shirt, did you?
Everyone looking down, I was like, it's not on the front. It's on the front. There you
It's
go.
okay. That's completely fine. But it's the thing is, there's so many noise in this world, and it's probably a common trend of every generation. There is noise, there is temptation, there is things that distract us from our identity of who we are. If as a child of God, as a Malankarite, right? A lot of things distract us. I think this conference has done a great job of saying, ignore all of that and just focus on your identity. Come together, let's share in communion, and come together and focus on who we are as a Malankarite. I think we were able to accomplish that during this conference. And I feel like a lot of us had, the second clause of that particular verse is transformed by the renewal of your mind. A lot of us had that renewal per se, because, for example, liturgically speaking, we had a lot of in-depth conversations about the liturgy. We had conversations about, the relevant topics of this world in our chai and chat. We had people, late nights conversation. I overheard people talking about the talks for that day. My brother's testimony. Those are all renewal moments, actually. And I'm so blessed to have our church be that source of wisdom and source of knowledge for the young ones in the church today. And I'm very happy that this conference was beneficial for a lot of the people. And actually now there's a spirit for us to come back to a next conference and for next leadership or family convention even, just to come together and just come in communion with one another and rejoice, right? So I really took that away from this conference.
Yeah,
This is our home.
Yeah,
this is our home.
absolutely.
This is our
It
home.
is our home. Yeah.
Yeah.
I just honestly just still amazed and then humbled by how strong the presence of our church is here, especially in the US.
Right.
I think earlier on in this conversation we had talked about, I think it was Jancy, you talked about like how our church seems small compared to some of the other churches around. And that's interesting to put into light because I never feel small now. I remember I used to feel so small, but I don't have that feeling anymore. And it's kind of just been like washed away. And it's there's always that love of community within so many churches around us. And I did misspeak when I said that the quote was in the back, but you know what is on the back though? All of the different churches in our in the US and
Right.
well, North America, of course. And so that is such an important thing for me to see as well. Just how amazingly quick as well, how quick our church has grown here in the US and Canada. And it will continue to grow as we have more members and not just spread out over cities, but spreading out within the local churches as well. So I hope that one of the biggest things I hope that people take out of conference is continue to foster that community within your own parish, right? Reaching out to the people who went to conference, people who didn't go to conference, people who are coming in new for the first time to your church, whatever the case is. Continue to growing that community will just allow us to not just be in communion with each other, but especially to grow our own faith, to really understand how beautiful it is. So,
Right.
yeah.
Well said. Well said.
Yeah.
Appreciate that.
I again thank you all for your time. I really do appreciate it. If anyone have any final thoughts? I don't want to end this episode already. Like,
yeah, don't.
I don't want to keep on talking, right? I feel like there's just so many more things, but I feel like we got to end it somewhere. If no one has anything else, I think we're good to call it. Again, thank y'all again. Thank y'all listeners for listening in, and I hope everyone has a great day.
Thank you for having us.
Yeah, thank you. It was a lot of fun.
It was a lot of fun.
Oh, thank you.
Hey guys, thanks for tuning into this episode of Tea with Thomas. We hope you enjoyed the conversation as much as we did. Don't forget to like this episode and subscribe to our channel for more conversations. If you'd like to help support us, check out the links in the description.
If you have any questions, comments, or topics you would like for us to talk about, please feel free to put them in the comments below. We would love to hear from you guys.
And for more behind the scenes content and updates, follow us on our Instagram at Tea with Thomas. Until next episode, stay curious, stay blessed, and let's continue to share our Catholic voices and ideas to this world. May the good Lord bless you all. Peace.
Peace.
Peace.